Welcome back to episode 24 of Chambers Chatter. I'm Laura Chambers Babalis.
And I'm Shae Chambers Helms. Today we're introducing Andy Tate to the show. He's most well known for reenacting Dr. Buzzard. Welcome to the show, Andy. We are so excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
I really want to get into, when did your journey with Dr. Buzzard begin?
It began about 60 years ago, coming down here to the Lowcountry, when I met her father, who was really my spiritual guide. And it was he who really lit the fuse that was always there, because Dr. Buzzard was always a part of the iconic kind of person that you wanted to know more about once you found out you were in his territory and so forth. So 60 years ago, that's when it started, or so.
And how did you meet him?
Well, I never met him. He died in 1947.
Okay. Okay.
See, this is the whole thing. Let me explain something to you. Dr. Buzzard, as he was called, is very iconically different from a lot of other folks that you have down here. First of all, he was born in 1860. So let's start dating everything within that parameter, with that, that area. And that's 1860. That's 2 years before the end of slavery, as they say, and so forth. So he was born as a slave on St. Helena Island and so forth. And he lived there through his younger years as a teenager, as whatever. And everything that he learned and so forth, he learned from the elder people who were there, the older people, the women especially. It was really the women, actually, who carried the whole culture, the entire culture in their ways. And they spread the culture around. Now, being a person of his age and sex and so forth and so on, there weren't really a lot of young people there his age to really deal with. So he dealt with the people who were there, which were primarily elders for the most part. And these elders were the ones who were slaves, but freed, but still, you know, in the old way and so forth, bound to the tradition of how things used to be, as opposed to how things really were, and so forth. So my interest really started when I came down here, and I realized, gee, this is where it all started. This is him. This is really, really him. This is his place. And that's how it got started. So at that time, there were plenty of places you can go to around here in Beaufort County, a lot of the thrift kind of stores and so forth, and find a lot of things that were still relevant, that people looked at and said, oh, what's this, what's that, and so forth and so on, you know. So I would say it started about 60 years ago, but even before then, you knew about Dr. Buzzard, you heard about it. So when you heard about the folks down here and the Gullah Geechee thing, which you didn't really hear about too much, Gullah Geechee per se, you only had to imagine, and the only thing that was available for people to talk about was the magic, if you will, and so forth and so on. They fantasized that into a reality that's now taken on a whole different point of a whole different aspect. So basically, that's how it was. That's how it started.
And so you moved here, and you said you connected with your spiritual guide?
Yeah, I guess that's one way to say it.
Okay.
We were coming down years before we married. Well, about 2 or 3 years before we married. But when we came down here, it became very apparent that this is where all this stuff began. This is really it. This is not BS. This is really, really what these folks are into. This is what they did. I looked and looked and looked and couldn't find a thing. You actually had to know where to look, how to look, what questions to ask, or more importantly, what questions you shouldn't ask, and so forth and so on. But the point is that I'm looking at him from a historical point of view. Some people take another point of view in which they look. But my preoccupation with him was he was here. He did big things, And if you think about the man we call Dr. Buzzard, Stefan Robinson, actually, it forces you to wonder how he survived, how he got along, how did he become who he was, why or how was he able to do the things they said he did, which he did, you see, and so forth, and get away with it at a particular time when people like himself and like myself himself had very little places to carry out. So he did what he did in his own way, in as much as that he created an environment, and with that environment, he boxed himself into this cage, if you will. But from that cage, he was able to extend out and make things happen, or give people the impression, or at least make things not happen, and so forth. He's had a lot of adversaries over the years, but he was a very quiet kind of a man, from what I can see. He never really went out there like waving the stick, and doing that sort of thing.
Right.
It was just something that, something that he came into, as a matter of fact. And then from there, he started picking up other kinds of if you will, powers, if you will, or things that he added to his entire aspect of what he was about. So he didn't come with the idea, I'm going to be a root doctor and I'm going to do this and do that and so forth and so on. Something happened.
Do you know what?
What happened? No, I don't know exactly what happened, but something happened. Something transpired. And whatever that something that happened was, and so forth, changed a lot in terms of how people were viewing the folks who lived here. And from that time going forward to now, it got very complicated. I mean, now it's crazy from what I can see. But other than that, to your point, how did it start? It started about 60 years ago. He was the person that I latched on to, but primarily through the encouragement of my father-in-law, because it started. We were driving down the big street on the island out there, I forget what it was, and he said, "Oh, and Dr. Buzzard lived down there." I said, "Oh, really? Let's go see." No, not now, and so forth. So it was a constant coming back, and each time I'd come back, it was becoming more intense, until one day I said, I got to find out about this guy, what he's about. But what I found out about who Dr. Buzzard was, or was not, I should say, was not so much from the people who lived here as much as the people who did not live here. That people who lived in Charleston, people who lived down in Georgia, I mean, he was like all over the place, and they just sort of knew he did things, but they couldn't say, well, on this day or that day. He seemed to have been everywhere or every place, but at the same time, he seemed to be a kind of a person that was like locked to the local land here, sort of keeping an eye on everyone at the same time, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah.
It just seemed that way.
Fascinating. I feel like for people that are listening that have never heard of Dr. Buzzard before, I feel like we should do a quick little who is Dr. Buzzard before we get any deeper.
Well, they call him Dr. Buzzard, but his name was Stefan Robinson, who was born on St. Helena Island in 1860 into slavery and so forth. And he navigated through that process. Because, you see, I think of him as a historical figure. If you take the year 1885, he comes in conjunction with a lot of other people that you know about. You know who Frederick Douglass was. Yeah, Frederick Douglass was 60. Then you have Robert Smalls, who was a little older. Then you had the Harriet Tubman people. They all knew each other. Now, Robert Smalls and Dr. Buzzard were like separated by years. They were separated by years. However, he and George Washington Carver were approximately the same age. He was slightly younger by 4 years.
Oh, wow.
It is a situation where, from a historical point of view, I look at him as a historical figure because he lived at the same time and place as the other folks did. A lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to him too much today, I imagine, because he didn't have a whole lot of shenanigans going on. He didn't have a whole lot of the stuff that you see, but he was doing something, and people came to him for a lot of reasons. And apparently, aside from the things that you might have picked up that were available, a lot of people didn't write really about him that much.
So what was the main reason people would go see him?
He was known as a root doctor, a conjure doctor. There are lots of reasons they went, but one of the main reasons was that he was raised on the island over there, on St. Helena Island, where people just knew how to do things and had to do things for themselves, only because they were not, they were just not allowed to, or not a part of the whole thing that was over there. So that's basically it, you know. There's one thing that there are very few photographs of him. The one picture you have that you might have seen is his nephew and so forth. And we, Bernice and I, we have met a lot of the family and so forth, but they don't talk about who he was.
Most people do not talk about who he was.
They won't, because they can't. They don't know what to say. They're not sure how to process what he was doing, from what I can see. You see, there is a lot of stuff associated with him, but that they don't.
You used the term magic earlier. Can you give us an example of something that would be like that?
Well, the only thing that I can maybe hone in on is the fact that when people got sick, the women who knew the herbs and the roots and whatnot, what to mix, what to put together, what to comprise, would they showed him how to do this, and he knew what to take and so forth in order to transfer this to people and so forth. As far as any one big thing that said, oh, he did this, or everybody's, you know, running to claim fame and so forth and so on. There is no one single thing, because he did strange things. He was very involved in the legal system. He would go to the courthouse there, you know. He would have the judges and the people who were involved in so-called adjudicating situations. He would just turn things upside down in his own way, cause confusion. Good confusion, I would say, for that part. So there's no one thing that I would say he was good at this, he did this better than that, and so forth and so on. And the reason why, I think, is that he did his work and he moved on. Now, he did leave for a while, and he went to New York, didn't stay long. He came back eventually and continued to live his life, especially after his son died, you see, for whatever that was about. So it was important to understand that he did what he did, and apparently his fame was it was global, because people came from everywhere to get what he had. And one of the things that impresses me more than anything else is the fact that the president of the United States at that time, who was FDR, might have very well been a patient.
Really?
Yeah, he very well might have been, and I say might have been, because in 1939, when he was still dealing with what did he have? Polio, I think it was, right? He did disappear for a while on his way to Warm Springs, Georgia, by way of where? Did he come through here? Was he taken out to St. Helena Island? that night when he showed up. There is some trifling evidence that suggests that perhaps maybe he was involved with trying to help FDR cure himself of the polio problem that he had. Now, this is not really talked about a lot because, there's not a lot of written stuff about it. No one's waving stuff but me in that aspect. So when I look at him from a point of view as being a person who was historical, in as much as that he cared and he knew what to do and when to do it, how to do certain things to create a situation where people could very well be put into a situation where they themselves might have been able to have been diagnosed with a certain situation so they wouldn't have to go into the army or this or that or the other. So it's really open. Lots of things he has done. There's lots of things. You won't hear much about it. You will hear the term root doctor. You will hear the term shaman or whatever, but he was basically a shaman for the most part. And that's how he made his money, and he did very well from what I understand. They were always trying to trap him into a situation, whereas they would sort of diffuse the content or the context also in which he operated out of. You see, many people have tried to do things and they have done things and so forth, but the things that they have done, largely ineffective, and to this day, it's to this day, without hurting anyone's feelings and so forth and so on, he maintained a certain level where he would not necessarily show everybody what he did. You needed something, he would come, he would visit with you, he would fix you, he would create a situation where you just got better. And a lot of people did not like it.
And you were saying the people who were kind of trying to stop him or like take away from all of that, and
Well, without getting too distracted, yes, there were people, historical figures, his relationship with what's this guy's name? McTeer, I think it was, right? He was one of many people who were, I would say, I won't use the word jealous.
Right.
I won't use that. But he knew something was working with this whole shamanism thing and wanted to be a part of it. So he set himself up as being a doctor or, if you will, a root doctor, if you will, after they got rid of him, or after Dr. Buzzard finally went and decided he's not going to do this anymore, or whatever the case might be. There are a lot of people, even to this day, who are still carrying on, doing things, saying that they can do this, that, or the other, and they are doing this, that, or the other, whoever these people are. But in terms of Stefan Robinson himself and so forth, he was an amazing person, I think. He understood that he had knowledge, information. It was nothing really spooky or fantastic about it in terms of what he did with respect to how people saw him and how people viewed him. He went under. He just played it very, 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 very low. You see, and his family still today, they still live out on St. Helena. They don't wave signs and say, "Hey, we're the descendants of," and so forth. They just play it back, and to this point, I'm not even sure if that culture really exists the way it did before. It doesn't, actually.
Yeah.
Things are always changing. It doesn't exist because things have changed quite a bit these days, and a lot of people are doing different things. And the things that they are doing and so forth are just stuff because it has now taken on the veil of being a big circus for the most part nowadays, But in terms of him being a shaman, in terms of him being a person who did what he did because it was just his calling, you have to understand that he didn't say, oh, I'm going to be a root doctor and I'm going to make money and so forth and so on. It's all he knew. It's all he knew. People came to him looking for help because they had problems, and he had a way of being able to resolve those issues, and make it happen,
And so your kind of life journey into all of this, into this depths of getting to know him and to where you are now, what has been kind of your goal and mission over this last 60 years?
Well, this is interesting because my background basically is global finance and computer technology, global finance. I've dealt with that all of my life until I retired from the world of Wall Street and so forth. But to your point, how did I get involved in all this? It was just something that just grabbed me. My father-in-law, they believed, they did a lot of different things and so forth. The things that they did, just phenomenal. For example, they would get together, him and his friends, once a month or once every 5 weeks or so. They would just know to come on a certain day over to this guy's place, and they would all get there and they would start talking and they would just be doing things. And he took me there one night. Or one afternoon, I say, and it was like through the night we were talking, and they were just talking, and I was just there listening. I said, "This is the spot. This is it. This is where everything is happening." The only thing I knew, at a certain point, I crashed. When I woke up, it was just like things just seemed a little different. I couldn't explain exactly what, but I said, "These guys, they did something." And without saying too much or giving away too much, because a lot of stuff has to be verified. People want to verify everything from the point of view that they want to be able to claim something or prove something, or that they were the first to do this, that, and the other. And I've reached a point where I have not been able to say, do that. Or if I decided that was something I thought I should or want to do, it would come out. I just sort of ignore it, you see. But it's a very strong, extreme version of that still hanging heavily over these sea islands as we know them. More so now than before, but now especially because everything appears to be very calm, but it's not at all, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's not. There's a lot going on, and there are individuals and people who claim to be doing this, that, or the other, and so forth. Well, God bless them, The point is that my involvement with it is just it's curiosity. It's just interest. It's just wanting to know what happened, why it happened, who it happened to, how did they get it started? And it was just like always, it's always there. It is there, it is here. It's not like this happens and that happens, or you do this and you do that. Everything has a purpose. And when something is needed, when that time has come, the person or the individuals or those forces will come forward, and it will come out. It's always there. It's always there. People nowadays, we are all looking for something. We're all looking for the magic way out, or we're looking for how can I say? Well, I don't know what we're looking for, to be honest with you.
I think that's the issue. Most people don't really know.
I really don't know what we're looking for. But one thing that I do know, I am certain of one thing. When I have a situation that impacts me and my family or whatever, certain things happen in a way for the issue to be resolved. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be resolved in a good way. If there's somebody that is involved in something that they should not be involved in, oh, make this go away and so forth. No, it doesn't work like that at all. It's a process that's involved in the whole process. There's some kind of a process that's involved.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered a question or not. There's lots that I'm not saying right now.
I can feel you reading between the lines, and I'm like, oh.
There's a lot that I'm not saying. There's a lot that I should not be saying.
Sure.
That I cannot say.
Of course.
That I better not say, and I think that I can speak frankly from a certain point of view. I just address things at a certain level before I take it to another level and another level. But to go from here to there without understanding what's happening in between and so forth, it's not so much me trying to cover my butt as much as it is to stop people from doing things they shouldn't be doing, causing a bigger problem before they understand what exactly the consequences will be. Because they will be extreme.
Right.
You know, there are things that I won't even go into right now. And as a result, when you take that point of view or have that point of view, you live your life a certain way, you're doing a certain thing in a certain way, that people see it. They will either ask you, how do you do this or how do you do that or whatever. I mean, people don't come to me for anything for the most part. They seem like they're almost afraid sometimes, you know. And it's not that they will get an answer, because I don't know what anybody really, really wants. And I don't see myself as that kind of a person as much as I see myself as the individual that has an extreme interest in that whole world of that they call it Gullah something now. Everything now is Gullah, so Gullah magic, Gullah this, or whatever the case might be. But to make the point more relevant to what it is not. I try to stay just right in the middle and wait to see where the pressure is needed to make something happen, or more importantly, to make something not happen. There's a lot of not happening stuff going on now. Give them entertainment, let them entertain themselves, and so forth and so on. But I can sit back at the same time as they're moving through, and I can see exactly what they're doing. I'll just close my eyes and shake my head.
So what do you have in your hand right here?
This I figured. Well, this is really nothing, but it's something. Now, what do I mean by that? This we found on the beach out on the island, about 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's all I think, and I kicked it, threw it in the water, came back, threw it in the water, walked off, came back down the beach. I said, oh, there's that thing again. I said, I better hold on to this. It was a little longer. I just held on to it because it just had a sort of a something about it. Because some people were saying, well, what's that? Well, it doesn't really have a name. Dr. Buzzard, the man who carried the tradition from back in the day, the person who really took the herbs and the roots and the process and everything, putting it all together and blending it and pinching it different for each person. It wasn't like one aspirin you give to everybody to make it happen. It didn't happen that way. You used, yes, the same basic ingredients and so forth, but maybe 2 teaspoons of this or 1 teaspoon of that, or whatever the case might be. It's all that. So Dr. Buzzard himself was one of these kind of special men, like George Washington Carver and other men like him, and women for the most part, that knew who they were, why they were, where they were, doing what they did all the time, picking up this information. I mean, my father-in-law, who really cut me into the way people live down here, the way things are. He said, it's all going away now, boy. It's all going away. People are buying things and they're just taking this stuff and they're getting worse. It seems to me that he understood or knew back in the 70s and 80s that things were going south, and they just continued to plummet down a hill. and they were replacing it with other things that didn't matter, things that did absolutely nothing other than entertain people, and you wonder how much entertainment was really, really there. So it was a way that people hold on to what appears to be the real deal when actually it wasn't the real deal. It was just what you get the impression is the real deal because they put some coating on the outside. But with all that said, as it was formally stated, that's it. My father-in-law, I would say, he really, really, really understood that there was something I wanted to say, didn't know how to say it or where to say it, so he took me and showed me where things were. I saw things, and the things that were able to penetrate through, the things that I needed to see, the stuff that I needed to take, it was there. That I embraced, but what I didn't embrace is the fact that most of the stuff that I was embracing or talking about, I said, people are never going to listen to this. What can I do to make it more, because you bamboozle, as we say, So I created a podcast. There's 12 episodes out there right now. As a matter of fact, I have a backup version of on YouTube, Lowcountry Rootwork. You'll see me. You go out there now, you'll see it. But it's on Spotify.
Okay.
A lot of people don't do Spotify, so that way for certain things. But it's out there, and I'm building on it now. Now I think I'm going to take it now, even though it's an audio. It's still very, very, very penetrating and makes you listen. But I want to take it and move it into a different aspect. We did things, we've published several books, as a matter of fact, Bernice and I, children's books. And the books that we've published were based on, not that, but based on things that touched on that, but dressed up in a very, very kiddie way, But it was still it's basically the same thing. If you can just peel back just a bit and look and listen to the stories, you're going to say, oh, hell, boy, this is wild, It's all there. So where has it gone now? I think that the root medicine, as we call it, it's transformed a bit in as much as that it's been painted over to look differently, but it's the same thing. We don't need everything that we had before, but we still have it nevertheless, and we're still working with it, you see. I think that the people who are performing in all this stuff that we call root magic or whatever, some have gotten very, disconnected, but, they're doing what they do, and I accept that. I accept the fact that people do what they do with what they have because they're seeing it from their own point of view. Most of the stuff, in my view, of what you see out here now, I think is not really, it's not what it was. It'll never be what it was, and if it's not captured somewhere, it's going to be gone forever. And what we're seeing basically, I think now, with all that's going on, especially with government, with the miracle of people running the world now and so forth and so on, people are now starting to think about how things work. People are starting to say, I thought this was a good idea, but it's not. We have to do something different. We have to do something else. What else is there? Mm-hmm. Well, we have this stuff. What did they do before? What are they doing now? What do we see that's coming and so forth? So that's basically what it is.
So your podcast, when you come in reincarnated as Dr. Buzzard, are you explaining kind of your beliefs in the universe, or what are we, when we go into this podcast, what are we seeing
when
through
you
this?
go into the podcast, you're going to be hearing a different person.
Okay.
You're going to be hearing Dr. Buzzard.
Okay.
And Dr. Buzzard is going to be talking about things that you need to hear.
I love that.
With a lot of inflection, with a lot of energy, with a lot of fun, with a lot of whatever. But the things I talk about are things that are very everyday things that people might want to listen to, It's really segmented and it's crafted very carefully. Each episode to last about 10 to 15 minutes. Well, there's one that's a half hour. But I deal with contemporary situations and people, and issues and the kind of things that people may definitely want to hear, you see, rather than just throwing it out there. Oh, I'm Dr. Buzzard, listen to me because I say I'm Dr. Buzzard. No, 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 no. It's not that at all. You will listen to it and you will forget that you're listening to me. It's a completely different voice, completely different everything.
Great. Andy, we can't thank you enough for being here today. This has been super fun. We can't wait to tune into your podcast and hear the universal spirit.
Whatever.
Language
well, thank you very much.
that
It's
you
been
share
quite
to the
my
world.
pleasure. It's been quite my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.